Today we welcome Wilky Denaud to the HangTime Headlines podcast. As always, like, comment, subscribe, run it up on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. Got myself, Lucas Schwallie. I'm your host, Drew in the building. What's up, Drew?
How's it going, guys? Good to be here.
Wilky is a top defensive line prospect in the class of 2023 from Fort Myers, Florida. He's listed at 6'4", 245 with offers from some big-time programs such as Umiami, Penn State, Florida, South Carolina, and Nebraska.
Check the stats, dog. I can see the future with my mask off. Big hang time, I'm a blast off.
Wilky, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
We're doing well. We're excited to have you. I mean, we got a lot of questions, highly touted prospect. So what we want to do is something we do with a lot of our guests, which is take us back to really the beginning. We're really interested in who or what gave you your introduction to football. Like, what was your background with football? How did that even start? How did football become a part of your life?
Well, at first, I was always a basketball player when I was younger. And then when I, started, becoming too big, I would say, for basketball, they, started trying to transition me into playing football. So, I started playing Pop Warner football. Then after that, I enjoyed the game more and more. And I kind of, focused my energy more to football while also still playing basketball. And I, kind of take football more serious now. It's, a passion for me more.
All right, hold up. Let's run it back because let's talk about the basketball for a little bit because this is pretty important.
This is breaking news for us.
Yes, I play AAU basketball. I played for my high school team, and then I did play rec when I was younger.
So were you always one of the biggest kids growing up? This isn't a new thing for you?
Well, when I was younger, I was always pretty much one of the biggest kids. But now you see kids in the 2023 class 6'7", 6'6".
When did you start playing basketball? And talk me through that transition a little bit.
I mean, I started playing basketball when I was, say, probably 4th grade. I played rec, and then one of my rec coaches had a travel basketball team. That was hey, you should come play travel basketball. And then that's when I got bigger, I would say. I got taller. And then that's when another coach saw me. He was like, come play football, come play Pop Warner with me. And then that's when I went into playing Pop Warner. I liked it a lot. I played Pop Warner all the way to 8th grade pretty much. And then we went to nationals 2 times and won regionals once and lost in one. But then that's what really made me realize I can be something great in football.
What was your first time playing football? How old were you in that first year of Pop Warner that you just mentioned?
I would say I was 11.
That's not like you're just starting football in high school. You've been playing football for a decent amount of time now.
Yeah, I've been playing. I've changed positions so many times through football, so yeah, I have a little experience on football.
You clearly got a background in sports here. You're growing up playing football and basketball. Did you have parents who played sports? How did you get that introduction? Where did that come from? Do you have any family connections?
Well, my parents played high school sports, but they didn't really take that as serious. They only used it as a club or something. But my brother started playing it before me, and then I started coming out to his practices, practicing with him and his team, and then kind of became fun for me. And then I started playing it for a while. We went up from there.
Is it safe to say that you fell in love with football right away when you started Pop Warner? Or was there a specific moment where you were oh, football is my sport? Basketball kind of took the rear seat a little bit.
Well, at first it was basketball was my passion. I would choose basketball over football. But then once I started getting the hang of the game, starting to make those big hits and all those things, that's what really set me to say, oh, football is my thing. Because you can hit someone, I don't know, you would just say
you can't tackle someone in basketball.
Get in trouble. Yeah, it's a physical sport.
You said that I played a lot of positions in football. You want to kind of talk us through that a little bit? What were you playing when you first started, and how did that change and evolve over time?
When I first started, I was playing a little running back. They used to call me Little Derrick Henry.
Dude, we might have to bring that back.
I think I have a clip of taking 4 people on my back for a 20-yard touchdown. It was something crazy like that. And then I played a little tight end, wide receiver. Then after that, I moved to left tackle. And then that's when they switched me to the defensive side of the ball. That's my nose, and then I got faster, and then they moved me to the end.
You're crazy athletic, just going all over the field. They're all right, we need a tight end, we need a running back, we need a defensive end, whatever. Just plug and play.
I like that you figured out eventually that it's more fun to hit people than get hit. Way better.
Yeah, it was definitely more fun to hit.
So you mentioned, too, that you had some coaches who told you that you should start playing football. Can you expand a little bit on any coaches or friends that you grew up playing football with really introduced you to the sport?
First, it was my coach, Brad Scott. He was like the head director of the program. And then I came out when like all my friends were like, saying, you should go play football. Like my one friend, Philip, like we were childhood friends. She was like, you should definitely come play football. And then I came out, I tried out, worked out with them. They were like, we want you to come play with us. So I played with them for a while. My 5th grade year, I broke my wrist, so I couldn't play any sports that whole year. And after that, I came back and I played 7th to 8th grade year for a new coach, Coach Canada, which he was probably one of the people I still talk to this day, saying, you can be something great. The college coaches are going to come to you. You're going to be something special. Football is like, it's something you should really take serious. And then he like kind of pushed me to be better and better every single day at practice. I mean, just conditioning, pushing myself to do different things. So I would say he's one of the people that impacted me a lot.
Damn, that's just so good to hear. I think we all had those experiences with coaches growing up. You want to kind of like walk us through a little bit your first memorable game or season or play? I mean, do you have a favorite moment?
I do have a favorite moment. I was, I believe, 12-year championship game. I was playing tight end at the time, and then they put me on a post route, and I took it the middle, and there's like everyone just chanting, go, 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 like, and then when I scored the touchdown, just like the whole crowd was going crazy. And that's kind of like a special moment to me, like when I caught that ball.
I always think about that, like how crazy it must be to. I played high school football and I ended up getting a big 0 touchdowns on my career. But like, to score the game-winning touchdown or whatever and just have everyone chanting your name and winning the MVP and, being that guy for the night, like the next week, the next month, it must be wild.
Mm-hmm. It was.
At what point did you realize that you had potential as a football player, that you could make it to college and, maybe even further than that?
I would say when I came into high school, I went on a visit to the John Carroll High School, the school I'm at now. I went on a visit there, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're huge. What grade are you in? And I'm like, I'm going into 9th grade. Like, everyone was like so shocked. They were like, we don't see people this size and everything. So then when I go see the football team, they're like, oh my gosh, this kid's huge. He's going to be somewhere. Just to come in and then be a starter on varsity as a freshman, as a true freshman, like it was kind of something like, I have the potential to be something great. Coming in, beating out seniors, juniors, whatever it was, just to get that starting spot. I felt like I had the potential to go to the next level.
Damn, that's ridiculous. Starting as a true freshman. I mean, they don't have red shirts in high school, but still, like, that's out of control, especially in a sport like football where a lot of it is about having that size. Like, most freshmen just can't even compete at that next level. So, really talk about, I guess, a little before high school. Will you tell us a little bit about middle school, like when you started to get big, when you started to dominate on the field, and then obviously walk us through that transition in high school to, how was that different from playing football in your youth?
It was most definitely different because I was big for the group, but I would say my 6th to 7th grade year, I had like a big growth spurt. There was something crazy, like 6 inches in like a year. Of just seeing a doctor, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're growing at like a ridiculous pace. But like, then I started realizing like it was catching up to me. Like, I had the knee pains, all of that. So I would say like that big growth spurt, that's when it happened. Like, they started changing my position. They're saying, they like you better at this spot. And then I went from there.
At your listed size, we mentioned in the intro, 6'4", 245. Is that accurate, bro? Because you look huge, but, like, are you even bigger now? Like, how big do you think you're going to grow? Like, you're a big human, on the football field. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, when I came from Miami today, I weigh less now. I'm 6'4", 240 right now.
Yeah, you're a full-grown man. So being that big in, high school and even middle school, you were huge. Do you just, like, toss kids out on the football field? Are you usually the biggest kid on the field?
At most times, I'm always the biggest person on the field. I kind of, like, try to use it to my advantage when, like, rushing somebody because I can use my strength more against them because I'm a more stronger person. But then again, there's some times where they might be bigger than me, but I might have the speed to get around.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to learn different techniques as well when you're young because you're going to need them when you're older.
You don't just grow and become 245 pounds by just growing. It's clear you're putting in the work. I mean, you're obviously training, growing up for football and basketball. Like, when did you start lifting weights? How much do you lift? Like, talk a little bit about the other side of football, which is the training and all the work that goes into it.
Most definitely, I would say that's a big part of everything is like the training side of things. I started lifting weights coming into my freshman year, summer. I would say I couldn't even lift 135 coming into freshman year. Then after that, I began to like grow stronger and stronger. Right before COVID hit, I did a max bench press of 300, and then after that, I like started repping 225 for like 5-6 at a time. And then I have a coach here at my school. He just came in. He's a speed and agility coach, also our QB coach. He's been helping me get faster and more explosive. We do some drills with him.
Damn, so you mentioned it with the bench there, putting up 300 pounds. I think we saw the squat was like 425. What are some of your favorite exercises, and really how much do you lift?
I'll most definitely say like the bench is more like my favorite exercise. But then again, I do like squatting just because like you see that big number. It's kind of exciting when you see that big number pop up.
When you put 4 plates on there, it's just a different ball game. You feel huge.
Training every single day is super tough, especially when, you know, you're a superstar athlete like yourself. So how do you keep yourself motivated to keep going to the gym, keep grinding every single day?
I would just say, like, my parents, they are the reason that I do this every day. They are the reason that I get up at 5:15, 5:30 in the morning to come work out at school. They're the reason that I go do the things that I do to be successful, go play multiple sports. I would say they're most definitely the reason.
That's just so good to hear, because there's just some people that don't understand how great like all the moms and dads and relatives and parents and those who support us out there are. I mean, they really do such a great job, and I mean, we couldn't make it anywhere without them, literally.
My mom does like everything for me still.
If they weren't here, I would probably say I would not know where I would be right now.
I mean, speaking of training, what do you eat? Do you have a favorite food or place to go? Like, what's your meal prep like? You're pretty big. You got to be eating. I assume you're not just like on a strict like vegan diet here or something.
Oh, no. I've never done that. But no, I have a favorite food that I like to cook. I usually cook some steak and potatoes. That's always a good meal for me. I can do that. I used to eat like a lot of eggs in like my freshman and sophomore year. I would probably say I would eat like 6 eggs a day, 3 or 4 pieces of toast. Like, it would burn my mom and dad's pockets going to buy eggs every single week. I would always make protein shakes. Those are like really fun. Like, that's like one of the most meals that I usually made. There's a lot of protein shakes and eggs.
And what about going out? Do you ever go out to eat? Any favorite places?
This one place right by our town, it's called Taco Dive. They make probably, I would say, some of the best tacos and burritos around by far.
Living out in LA, some of the Mexican food there is so fire, bro. The taco trucks, they don't cap. They're good.
Taqueria, all those places by us.
So apart from working out, playing on the field, a big part of football is watching film. How much film do you watch in high school?
During the season, we usually watch probably like 3 or 4 days out of the week. Like, we'll have a little session either before school in the morning. Our schedule is like kind of weird, so like we'll have like on one day out of the week on Wednesday, it's called Late Start Wednesday. We don't have to go to school till like 9 o'clock, so they'll like call us in at like 8 o'clock. We'll watch film or something for an hour, go over plays, and then after school, pretty much every day we'll have like a little film session, so we have to be out on the field. So like I would say we probably watch it 3 or 4 times out of the week.
You know, you must watch film on your opponents, of course, but do you watch a lot of film on yourself as well?
Yes, I do watch some film on myself just to critique myself, fix like some mental, like the little things that I may go wrong with in a game that I can maybe work on next game. I watch a lot of opponents' films just to like key their steps, so when it comes to the game time, I say, oh, when he does this, I'm going to make this move.
So have you ever like watched game film before a game and then, you know, seen it actually play out in the game and you're like, oh, you know, I saw this. I knew you were going to do exactly this based on watching the film.
Yes, there's been multiple times where like our coach would like say, always watch his near knee. If he goes in, you know it's another block's coming around, down block's coming. And then you like just to see it happen in the game, and then you just blow that block up and then make the play. It's just like it works when you do those things right.
Damn, I mean, that's crazy to see you apply that on the field. We talked to a lot of players, and I think what really separates the good film watchers from the bad ones are the players that are able to take a moment in film and apply it on the field. I mean, that is going to make a huge difference. It's talked about how Brady watches a ridiculous amount of film. So how have you been able to balance football, academics, everything going on in your life right now? I mean, highly touted recruit. You got academics on the other side. There's a lot of stuff going on. How do you balance that life inside and outside the classroom, on and off the field?
I would most definitely say there is a lady named Miss Christopher. She helped me a lot during school. She kept me focused when I was trying to fix myself, balancing everything else. She most definitely helped me keep at balance, because I would literally go to school, football, basketball some nights, and then try to work all on school. It was most definitely a challenge, but I would say she's one of the people who kept me motivated and focused to keep doing.
And then to add on to that, you must have a lot going on with the college football recruitment process. So how has that been for you? Especially with COVID, it must be a little weird.
At first, it was kind of like a struggle because I had to take all my exams early just so I can get my college recruiting started. So once I finished my exams, I went on a college tour to a few schools up the East Coast and then to the Midwest a little bit. And then I just came from Florida last week, Miami today. So it's been going pretty good so far.
Well, I know Drew is definitely going to try and recruit you to the U by the end of this interview.
Just like up along the coast, you're saying? The East Coast?
I went to UGA. I went to Georgia Tech. Then I went west, and I went to Alabama, Jackson State, Mississippi State. This is the last college tour that I went to. Then I went to FMU, and then UF. Went back to UF, and then I went to Miami.
Busy man.
That's a ridiculous travel schedule.
So what was your first offer, and when did you get it? What did it feel like to get an offer from a D1 program?
My first offer was the University of Florida, and it happened, I would say, it happened right after football season. And it was kind of like an exciting moment for me, just because I didn't think it was going to happen so soon. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen so soon. And it was kind of like an exciting moment because a lot of people started looking up to me after they realized that they realized it was possible. I had many people saying congratulations and all this stuff, but just having younger people look up to me was a very exciting moment.
And how many offers have you stacked up now? Because you mentioned just a bunch of schools that you visited to. Where's it at now? Where's your thought process with that?
I'm at 15 offers right now.
It's my favorite number.
Woo.
Well, 16. 16.
Wow.
I just got another one today.
That one's not my favorite number. What was the first time that you noticed, you were being looked at by college scouts? Because I'm sure that you knew that before you got the offer from Florida.
I mean, everyone's saying, "Oh, you're gonna pass the eye test. You're gonna pass the eye test." At first, I was confused. I was like, "What do you mean the eye test?" You're a freshman looking at 6'4", 235 or whatever. And I was like, "Okay," and everyone was like, "That's a blessing. You really are blessed."
That's crazy that you realize and appreciate that opportunity, and I can see that definitely motivates you. So did you go to any camps at all, or was this just college coaches looking at film and being like we were sitting here, oh my God, this kid is dominating?
I didn't do any camps. I had plans on to go to camps, but all the offers, my first 10, I would say came from just film. And then after that, they started coming in through college coaches seeing me at camps and such.
You didn't even go to any camps. That's just crazy that coaches are that aware that they just see someone like your film out there and they're like, yep, we got to check in this kid and offer him. So can you talk a little bit about maybe talking to some of those coaches or visiting those campuses? What has that been like?
just because like COVID, everything was all done virtually. Right before right when they started rolling in, the world shut down pretty much, and no college coaches could come see me, so everything was done virtually. But then when I went on the college tour, it was just so different to finally meet the coaches face to face. All the names, just to picture them, see them in face, it kind of was different.
Do you have a favorite coach, a favorite campus that you visited? Even if there's not a favorite, you want to talk about maybe one that is memorable, one that you enjoyed. I'm sure you liked them all. I mean, to be honest, there's some crazy schools out there.
Oh, I most definitely liked all of them. But a guy that stood out to me the most was definitely Coach Mullins at Florida. He's a good guy. We had to sit down in his room and talk for a little bit. He was one of the guys that definitely stood out to me. Coach Cheney down at Mississippi State, he was a coach that was down here in my hometown, but he got the job over at Florida. Then he went to Mississippi State, and then it was just he's been a person that you could call if you needed something, and he'll always help you out.
And, speaking of getting help, how have your friends, families, coaches, whoever helped out through this college recruiting process?
If I couldn't get a ride, a friend will always let me stay the night at their house and then get a ride into the morning workouts. And then I would just say, all my friends' parents just, stepping up and saying they can give me a ride there and back from practice when my parents couldn't, when they had to work. And then my coaches coming to my house, picking me up and taking me to all the practices.
We often think of family as just blood related, but it's that's not it. Family is just such a bigger word than that. It's all the people around you, and that's just crazy to see how many people have seen you putting in the work and been I can help this kid out because he's going places and I can be a part of that. And how gracious you are on the other end of that to shout them out and just appreciate and really thank them. So we've been through high school at this point, but we didn't go through high school as top football prospects. You talked a little bit about how you have some people looking up to you. Do you feel you have maybe the spotlight on you a little bit or any added pressure just being the athlete that you are?
I most definitely have the pressure. I feel any wrong move or any wrong step that I take will definitely impact me a lot just because I'm the top dog of the school. I mean, I'm pretty much the person that everyone notices when they come to John Curl.
How do you handle that?
Most definitely just stay humble, be respectful.
I mean, those are really the only two things you need. Is it tough at all to balance spending time with, friends, maybe going out to a party, a female interest here or there? How does that work? I mean, you got football, you got academics, and then you got all of these other pressures around you just being a high school athlete. Do you go out at all?
I don't go out as I want because I gotta realize that my goal is to go to the NFL, and if I have to choose football over those things that you mentioned, then I'm gonna choose football over those things because if those things go wrong, I would think to myself, oh, I really just missed an opportunity to get better, to go hang out with them.
That's exactly what we want to hear. That's the perfect answer.
Yeah, that's what the college coaches want to hear.
I mean, that's the way you're going to get to that next level is if you are 100% dedicated to it, which is what we want to see. I mean, we want to see you going places.
Yeah. No, and that's brought you to be, one of the top college recruits. And we're also wondering, have you played up against any other top college recruits or with any?
Yes, I have played with multiple, and I've played against multiple. My friend Najee Harris, he's up at IMG now. He's a pretty top dog too. We've competed versus each other at a few camps. And then when I just go to all these Under Armour camps, all these Florida camps, I'm competing versus people every day that have the same goals as me, that already are given the opportunities that I have. It's just kind of a competition really to see who's to play versus the best of the best. And then I have played along Division I prospects. One of my friends, Jay Allen, he's going to Florida for baseball, but also was a 3-sport athlete. He could have played college at any level, any sport, basketball, baseball, football. He was the definition of a true athlete.
So playing up against these top college recruits, things must not always go perfectly, and we've talked a lot of positives, but, everyone goes through struggles. So are there any tough moments in your football career that, you wouldn't mind sharing, and how did you overcome these obstacles? Like, what pushed you through them?
I would say, when I was, a freshman, I didn't have the experience, going against these, big people, and I, always doubted myself if I made the wrong move. What would my coach, say to me? I always have that mentality in the back of my head, to overthink things. And, over time, I just kind of, my coaches have always said, if you're going to mess up, go mess up at 100% speed. And then if you mess up, you mess up. And you have to own up to those things. And I've kind of just, started to gain towards that. If I'm going to mess up, I'm going to finish the block and then go correct myself in the next play.
On the football field, too, you really got to go 100% because you'll often hear about players who get injured when they're not going 100% because everybody is going so hard. What's the hardest you've ever hit someone on the football field?
I would say the hardest I ever hit someone is I came right out of my stance and just the arm extension, I put him on his back. And I would say I believe that's on my highlights, actually. That's one of the moments that I kind of realized I'm not your average person. I'm pretty strong.
I mean, we're gonna clip that over it. Don't worry,
it's gonna be in the background.
Flip side of that, what's the hardest you've ever been hit?
I've most definitely gotten hit once or twice coming up. I've been in the wrong and I went all the way upfield, and the right guard would come full speed and just pop me one good time. That's happened before.
Do you shy away from that contact at all, or do you love it? Because football's a contact sport. You're going to give and you're going to take a little bit.
I mean, I love the contact. That's the reason I enjoy playing games so much. You can get hit, be hit, or make a hit, and you're at the end of the day, the end goal is to get paid doing those things.
Playing football as a freshman, did you ever match up against any college football players who are playing at that next level now? What was that like?
We didn't really play teams that had the college next level people. And my freshman year, I would say it more came of my sophomore year, but I did make the All-American camp my freshman year, and I did face up against some people that I believe now are playing at Miami, Georgia Southern, all those type of schools.
Dude, what was that like being a freshman and playing up against guys who, are about to be freshmen in college?
It was definitely an experience for me just to get to feel where I need to be at X amount of years to be great in this sport. It was kind of motivation for me.
We were just talking about the big hits, the contact. Football is a contact sport. You talked earlier about your wrist injury. Is that the worst injury that you've had, or are there some other, injuries that you've had over the years?
That's the only injury I've ever had.
Can you talk a little bit about the recovery process through that? Because, football is, as Drew mentioned, a contact sport. People are going to get hit, nicked, banged up a little bit. What was it like recovering from, breaking your wrist?
It wasn't really the recovery part about it. It was just, well, actually, yes, it was, because once I got the cast off and everything, I was kind of afraid to go do something again and then risk messing it up again. So I took a lot of precaution. I always had my wrist taped when I went back into sports, just being more cautious about it. Then over time, once went back to 100%, I kind of went back to being way more violent and explosive.
Yeah, it's good to see. Athletes talk about how it often takes, a year or two to not only fully recover, but get that confidence back. And the fact that you've now been that process is definitely going to help you at this level, at the next level, if you ever face an injury again. Obviously, we are praying that you stay 100% healthy.
Iron Man.
And speaking, of injuries, NFL players, a lot of them get injured. Are there any NFL players you model your game after?
I like to use Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett and all those dudes. And Von Miller. I just like how they are so violent, use their hands and explosiveness off the ball.
And do you ever watch film of these NFL players?
I like to watch like all like the coaching clinics that they have on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to like how they talk about how they do their stance, how they work their hands, like all the drills that they do.
And do you have like a favorite one? If you had to pick a favorite NFL player, who would it be?
I don't really have a favorite player. I just like kind of like use all the players that are named. Like I kind of like take one of like their best things and then just use it. I don't like kind of like see one player as like a favorite. Like I kind of use like all of them to like use them as like their favorite thing. Like each person that I named, they have their own thing that I like about them.
You're taking those different attributes and you're just combining them into one super player. I mean, it's kind of like Madden when you boost all the stats up. Speaking of Madden, I mean, one of our hosts plays Madden with a couple NFL players. We've seen a lot of players getting into it lately. Do you play Madden at all? Any other video games?
I don't play video games like that, but like, yeah, I play Madden every now and then, 2K every now and then Fortnite every now and then. I mean, those are games.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not a gamer. You're a big-time college football player. But a lot of the players that we interview who are highly invested in football, they do like to get a little bit of Madden in.
Yeah. Madden and 2K are the most common. Yeah.
Every now and then I would say, like, just get off of, like, social media or something. I'll just, like, sit in my room and play the game. And that just, like, helps me get off, like, all the other things, social media, get me off my feet for a little bit.
Let me hear your favorite team to play as in Madden, and then also, is that your favorite NFL team? Do you have a favorite NFL team?
Let's see. My favorite NFL team to play with on Madden, Kansas City. Just to take that ball, throw it. Like I can just go press any person, put them on a go route, and Patrick Mahomes will connect with them every single time. That's always something fun to do on Madden. And they were my favorite team for a while. But like I kind of like don't show favoritism anymore on like those type of sports anymore.
Yeah, it's more about, for us at this point, rooting for a lot of the athletes over the teams. I mean, we're diehard Boston sports fans. That's never going to change. But in terms of everywhere else, like, I look at athletes, and those are the players that, you know, become my role models on other teams. We've talked a lot about football. Do you have, you know, any other off-the-field interests? You mentioned basketball earlier. Any other sports you tune into or are interested in, or just anything else in particular?
I do track and field, too. So I did the 4x1 this year. I did the 100 meter. I did the long jump, high jump. Pretty funny video on there. I have a pretty funny video of me and high jump. And then I do shot put, and I did a little disc this year too.
He does everything.
All around athlete. How fast did you run the 100?
I believe it was a 12.79.
Damn.
It's quick.
Do you have any music interests at all?
One of my favorite artists is most definitely Rod Wave, Lil Baby. Yeah, those two right there kind of sum it up.
Do you have like a difference between, you know, your pregame music versus your leisure, relaxing music?
Lil Baby and like Kodak Black, I kind of like to listen to before the game, and then like I could put a little Rod Wave in there if I wanted to, like just to like he has a few interesting songs that I can get you hyped up to, and then. Like, if I'm just chilling, I like to listen to, like, Rod Wave because he's just, like calming and smoothing.
Listen to old Kodak or new Kodak?
Before the game, I kind of like to listen to old Kodak.
Yeah, that's facts.
Like,
old Kodak.
And Skrilla and all those songs.
Yep, and Lil Baby, Lil Durk just released an album, too, which I tuned into. I mean,
yes.
Lil Baby is kind of going
good.
out of control right now.
All right, and then before we wrap up, dude, besides Lil Baby and Kodak, is there anyone else that you want to...
Polo G.
Polo G, facts, shout out to him.
Is there anyone else that you want to shout out, maybe not in the rap game, anyone else in your life that, you know, really has a big influence on you and your football aspirations?
I would say most definitely my two AAU coaches, Coach Henry and Coach B. They most definitely would step out of their way and do anything if I need anything. They would be the person I can call right now, and they'll be able to help me out.
Hey, man, I mean, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an incredible interview. Humble, appreciative, crazy athlete on the field. The highlights are ridiculous. We couldn't be more grateful.
No problem.
This was so sick, dude. I better see you in a few years at the U. Down in Miami.
When you're lighting up the U and Drew's on the sideline, it's over.
Can't make any promises.
Oh, no, I wouldn't make you do that anyway.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, HangTime Headlines, follow us on Spotify. Great podcast guest. Couldn't be more appreciative of it.
Anytime.
Ballin' crazy with the hang time.